Medellin has been always characterized for being a pretty nice and interesting place with a lot of really great people. Here I have one of the biggest examples, probably, the man Francis Leverone, an artist and a retired high school math teacher who is going to tell us about his experience here in this city, in Medellin, and of course a little bit about his art. So, Francis, the first question will be, how and why you decided to come to live here in Medellin?
Well, I retired 6 years ago, and my wife is Colombian. She's from Bogota, and we visited Medellin, and I fell in love with Sabaneta. Oh my God, I love it. I love the people, I love the park, I love the families holding each other, the
Yes.
bicycles, they're holding each other, walking, licking ice cream cones, beautiful flowers. It's something occurred to me after my first visit, that this was a country where most people don't want to get rich, don't think they're going to get rich.
Of course.
Can you imagine that? A place where people don't think they're going to get rich, most of them.
Yes.
Well, this brought a very joyous feeling to me. And this is what retirement is. It's peace. It's time to reflect and let some of those artistic juices
Yes.
come to light.
Of course. Another question, Mr. Leverone. Did you feel somehow uncomfortable the first time you came here to Medellin, considering the history of drug violence,
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar, and all those
Oh
things?
yeah, I was a little bit scared, but I remember telling Mariam, I'm going to take a gun.
Yes.
And she said, a gun? There were guerrillas, you need one of these.
Yes, of course.
So I was a little bit scared of Bogota, but I'll tell you, my first visit to Medellin, to visit the place before we moved here,
Yes.
we went into a shopping market, a store, a clothing store, and I said to the woman, yeah, solo merando, instead of solo mirando.
Yes.
I said, solo, I'm just peeing. And that was my first experience, but it was the park. When I saw a guy on a bicycle in the park cutting people's hair
Yes.
from his bicycle in the park in the middle of the day, and bicycles and baby carriages and ice cream cones and colorful, beautiful yellows and blues and reds.
Like a paradise somehow.
A divine paradise, and it is. Oh my God.
Another question, do you feel that Americans or people from other parts of the world have a wrong or unfair perception of this city and the
Oh
country?
yeah. The days of Escobar
Yes.
are in the minds of Americans, but it is the total opposite. I have been here 6 years, never heard one person yell at another person. I have never seen an angry Colombian.
Of course.
They are so polite. It reminds me of the 1950s, the best of the 1950s from the United States.
That's quite interesting.
Before the 1960s rebellious
Yes.
period, in the 50s, people were polite, they were family oriented, they were into the churches, and that's how people are here.
Of course.
Another thing I notice is that when we go to a store to buy some plantains or food,
Yes.
if we don't have enough money, they say, come back on Friday.
Oh yes, that is a
It-
very distinctive characteristic of
It's
this
okay.
city.
Come back on Friday. No problem. When we're in the house, oh my God. If I want one Coca-Cola, Mariam can get on the phone and order, and they'll bring it to my house.
Yes.
One Coke. Now I am ashamed One time I was watching a football game,
Yes.
and I ordered M&M's, 2 packs. I wanted to give the guy a reason to come to my house. So I ordered 2 packs of M&M's, and he brought 2 packs of yellow M&M's to my door.
Yes.
It's so wonderful, and they don't charge for your time.
No, not at all.
In the United States, you get charged for their time. They took the couch out of my house last week to reupholster it. A couch and a small chair. They didn't charge us to lug it down the elevator, lug it to their store. No charge.
Of course.
So it's like the 50s, but there's one other thing. When we first moved here in my apartment, I told Mariam to turn the thermostat down because it's 76 degrees every day.
Yes.
We looked all over. There is no thermostat because it's 76 degrees every day. There's no heating bill, no air conditioning bill, no thermostat.
Yes. Another question, how would you say people have treated you here? Like hospitality, any type of hostility?
I love that phrase, con gusto.
Oh, yes.
I expect it, I get it every time, with pleasure. Con gusto.
Exactly. With pleasure. Exactly.
And they've treated me. One time, I was taking my medicine for my blood pressure, and the doctor gave me some peeing medicine. Help me pee, okay?
Yes.
Well, I passed out. I was at a restaurant
Oh, my
outdoor
God.
I fell on the ground. Mariam said 10 people came and lifted you up and put you in the taxi, and I woke in the emergency room. 10 people. She said they wouldn't do that. I want to tell you something in my book
Yes.
about peeing. This is true. I was in Majorca, the mall, big
Yes.
mall in Sabaneta, beautiful mall. I went to the bathroom. I'm standing in the urinal. I'm getting ready to pee. This young kid comes in. He starts peeing before me like a horse. Then he leaves before I'm done. I looked at him, I said, show off. But you know what it was impressive though. You know what I do now? When I go to take a pee in the mall, I bring a cup of Coca-Cola.
Yes.
And I pour it out.
Like just in case.
It's in the book. Little stories.
Another question, which would you say is the thing that has impacted you the most about Medellin and Colombia in comparison with some other nations you visited before?
Well, this is the first country I've ever visited outside of the United States. Could you rephrase the question?
Yes, which would you say is the thing that has impacted you the most about Medellin and Colombia in comparison, in this case, with the U.S.?
Well, of course, the prices are very affordable. You can live on Social Security and live good, have a maid,
Yes.
swimming pool
Yes.
on the roof. But it's the calmness. I guess it's the calmness. I feel totally safe. I go out by myself, I come back, and that's about
You will say it's basically that, the calmness.
the calmness is what I appreciate the most. There's, like again, I don't think people are as anxious as they are from the United States.
Yes,
Here.
I perfectly understand. So, you were telling us about your book, and we're going to get on that later. So, I want to question you. I want you to tell me how long have you been writing?
Well, when I retired, my doctor said playing the piano would be good for your mind. So I got a keyboard. Since
Yes.
I retired at 62 and a half, that's the first time I started playing piano. writing songs. I never wrote a poem until I retired, and I never wrote a short story. And I have a stage play musical in progress right now. That's in the book too. And I did all of this upon retiring. So I was a math teacher, and I never wrote a poem or played a piano or wrote a short story.
This is
until
actually
I retired.
this is actually quite interesting because on this case you remember me, this famous Argentine writer Ernesto Sabato, which is actually one of my favorite writers here in Latin America, because he actually started writing and painted because he was also a very skillful painter. He started to do that once he retired from his profession, which was he was a nuclear physicist. So this is actually quite interesting. So now about your book, you're working on this book that is named Living Skin in the Game, which includes poems, quotes, lyrics, and short stories. So what could you tell us about your book? Please tell us, and I'm going to show here the book.
Well, this is a first draft for editing purposes, and it includes short stories and poems and lyrics to over 20 songs, all original lyrics, and a stage play musical with 17 original songs. This is all in progress, and this book is all original work created by me during retirement. It's a first draft.
Yes.
And it's a hobby. I am not a musician. I wrote 18 songs, and they're on YouTube.
Yes.
The link is in the book. But I was hoping that a real musician or an amateur would take some of my songs and create their own renditions and
Yes.
record it.
Of course.
The same thing with the stage play. I'm an amateur.
I wanted to ask you about this stage play. How would you describe this musical stage plays that you are currently creating? How would you describe it?
The purpose of the stage play was to help heal the division in the United States,
Yes.
one audience at a time, in playhouses all across America.
Yes.
That would be my dream. It's about how very good people take on misbeliefs and lies and propagate them,
Yes.
unknowingly to themselves, some knowingly to themselves. And the pain that untruths, misbeliefs cause family members
Yes.
that are riddling through our society.
It affects family as well.
It affects family as well. We have the differences between Fox News and CNN
Yes.
propagating their ideas as well. So this play is about exposing, not from the viewpoints of social scientists, neurologists, psychiatrists, why people believe untruths and propagate them, and what kind of damage are they doing to their own psychosis.
Yes.
This is a play about a person who is a nurse during the COVID-19 hospital era, and he has a patient who's a trumper.
So your story is based on this current era.
It's a contemporary musical,
Of course.
and the nurse's ideas start to shift, and he becomes a person who believes very many things that are not true, and misbeliefs. And I don't want to give it all away.
Of course.
But it's an intellectual, practical approach to the problem
Of course.
that we have in the United States, where there's a lot of division,
Yes.
a lot caused by political,
Yes.
tribal
Yes.
politics.
It is a fact that right now the United States is in a pretty polarizing moment.
Yeah.
So,
polarizing.
another question, before this interview, you told me some interesting details about this musical stage play. And I remember that the main one was that the story revolves around opposing and conflicting philosophical questions of the day. Which would you say is the main one? Which would you say is the main moral question that your stage play tries to answer?
Well, it it goes deeper than that. It tries to answer why. How do good people, like for example the Nazis,
Yes,
why do good people believe falsehoods
yes,
and propagate it
Of
and
course.
become self-righteous with it? That's the issue that this stage play addresses, so that when people leave the stage play, they have self-examining questions.
yes.
They come away asking themselves, why do I believe what I believe? And that's the real issue that the stage play addresses.
Another question will be, do you think that Medellin, this city, has been a helpful place to find more inspiration in your art?
Well, it does. Just look around at the beautiful flowers, the beautiful colors,
Yes.
the bright yellows and blues and reds. When I look off my balcony from the house, the apartment, the building over here,
Yes.
24th floor, today I saw 6 parrots fly below me.
Yes.
Beautiful. They were red and blue and gold and white. They flew right in front of me.
So if that doesn't inspires you, nothing will
With
do
the
it.
mountains in the background.
Yes.
These 3 parrots, 6 of them actually, I saw it twice. My friend took a my visitor from the United States took
Yes.
a picture one time. It is an what's that guy? It's an artistic place. People appreciate the arts here. And it is an inspiring, you can look at the flowers. My God, they're so beautiful. And they bloom all year round.
Yes. Yes. So, would you recommend Medellin as a place to
Oh.
visit or a place to live?
It's a place to raise children. It's a place to follow your faith. It's a place to be neighborly. It's a wonderful, divine place. I am so happy here. My book reflects all of my happiness in my poems, short stories, stage play, musical, lyrics. I have 17 songs on YouTube. Every one of them is inspired by the goodness that I found here.
So, right before ending this interview, once again, I would like to show you the book Living Skin in the Game. And could you please give us something short about your book, maybe a poem, whatever you will feel comfortable.
Okay, one comes to mind. Is actually the first one I ever wrote. Now is the time when each person must intercede with their own destiny, becoming a free floating spirit, resilient to the expectations of society. The ignition of transcendent growth is the natural absorption of our senses, the pure essence of life, to actualize oneself, gathering one's truest sages, collecting fossils of neglected potentials. O silent scent, please nourish the need that resides within me, that I might flee this wretched planet of mortal kinds and transcend to the sky, first feeling free to create a new flight for humanity. Though in woman, the completeness lies in the womb. That's one. And I think that's, I could go on and recite everything in that book.
Perfect. So, reporting from Medellin, Colombia, Luis Orozco with Francis Leverone, Newsweed.